Hello folks, and welcome to Jack Reviews Musicals. If this is your first time seeing my face, hi, my name is Jack and I am a musical theater superfan based in St. Louis, Missouri. This right here is my YouTube channel where I share my thoughts on all of the musical productions that I go out to see, and this video finally marks the time that I get to talk about the 7th and last production of the Muny's 106th season, Cole Porter's Anything Goes, which played from August 19th through the 25th of 2024. Anything Goes is considered to be one of the all-time greatest classic musicals that the Muny presented in time for its 90th anniversary, after last appearing on the Muny stage 25 years ago in 1999. Now, since that time, Anything Goes has been produced a few times in the professional theater space in town, and plenty of times in the community and educational theater spaces here too. In fact, Anything Goes is actually one of the very few classic musical comedies from before the 1940s to be produced regularly in the modern era, and after finally getting the chance to see it for the first time, I can definitely see why, and why I believe that is a good thing. The Roaring Twenties are far in the rearview mirror, and the Great Depression is on the verge of hitting its peak. The recently repealed Prohibition has left in its wake hundreds of thousands of underground crime rings. And because of the economic crash, fear of communism and embrace of Christianity was at an all-time high, and nowhere was it felt the highest than the financial capital of the United States, New York City. It is here that we find cataract-ridden, Yale-obsessed, constantly imbibing Wall Street lush Elijah J. Whitney, who has just arranged what is quite possibly the most important brokerage deal of his entire career. And to make it happen, he has to travel from New York City to London aboard the luxury cruise liner, the SS American. Mr. Whitney assigns Billy Crocker, a young employee of his brokerage firm, to manage his affairs in New York. But then Billy gets himself into a bit of a predicament. Billy shares a taxi with the famous young debutante, Hope Harcourt, and has fallen madly in love with her. The only person in Billy's circle who knows about this is his best friend, Reno Sweeney, an evangelist who just so happens to have been booked as a preacher for the SS American. On the embarkation date, Billy goes to see off Mr. Whitney and Reno, only to discover that Hope is actually among the passengers of the SS American. She's traveling to London to get married to the English Lord Evelyn Oakley. Hope and Evelyn's marriage was arranged by Hope's mother, Evangeline Harcourt, who lost her fortune in the crash of 29. And it's then and there that Billy decides he's going to stow away on that ship, he's going to find Hope, and he is going to try to win her heart. But as soon as he resolves himself, Billy witnesses a bishop getting hassled by police. Billy decides to intervene using a little bit of treacherous trickery to get the pigs off the bishop's back. But then the bishop reveals himself to actually be a gangster himself, Moonface Martin, public enemy number 13, one step below the police. Muny is traveling to London to attend a conference of other public enemies. In fact, he was actually supposed to be accompanied by public enemy number 1, Snake Eyes Johnson, but Snake Eyes went MIA, leaving behind his gun moll Irma on the ship with Muny. Billy then learns that Muny was actually an old friend of Reno. Reno was actually a gangster herself, until she realized that preaching is where the real money is. Muny and Reno soon reunite, and they both agree to help out Billy, throwing him into various disguises and having him stay one step ahead of the ship's crew, Mr. Whitney, Mrs. Harcourt, and of course Evelyn. There's a few other plot details that I'm going to get into in a little bit because, oh by gosh, by golly, this show is wild. I can say this with the utmost confidence that Anything Goes is one of the best comedies ever made. Not just musical comedy, comedy in general. It is an honest-to-goodness, old-fashioned 1930s farce. Wacky shenanigans, characters who are truly madcap, moments of brilliant high comedy. And it all takes place on one location. This is a show that I like to call a bottle musical. And if you're a longtime reader of Jack Reviews Musicals, you know that I am a sucker for those. For the Muny's production, their director, Marcia Milgram Dodge, honored the 1930s comedy roots by crafting a staging, acting, and visual style that is actually reminiscent of the films of the Marx Brothers. Duck Soup, A Night at the Opera. They're very broad, very silly, chaotic, and cartoonish, exploding with energy. And yet, all of the movements from the actors were very tightly coordinated. Every piece of blocking precisely choreographed with pacing that is as smart as a whip. The choreography by world-renowned tap dancer Jared Grimes is truly akin to that of Busby Berkeley or Fred Astaire or Gene Kelly. The title number of the show, which is the Act 1 finale, it's a big, epic tap number where everybody is getting involved, gathering in large swaths, all of whom move gracefully like leaves on a breeze. Blow Gabriel Blow is a show-stopping, uproarious gospel track that's filled with praise shouts, backflips, and a dancing Archangel Gabriel. Buddy Beware is a Ginger Rogers-esque song where Irma leads on the sailors and features excellent comedy movement. And the finale is a huge tap extravaganza extending into the curtain call. Even during the scene transitions, the ensemble of dancing sailors fill out the transition music by executing silent movie-esque slapstick through tap dancing. Two unsung heroes throughout the Muny season that have gone uncredited in my reviews for far too long are their resident sound designers, John Shivers and David Patridge. These two artists are some of the most experienced sound technicians working in American musical theater, and they are the best. Their work across the entire season has been pretty consistently good, but they are outstanding here. The tap dancing is crisp and clear, the sound effects were smart, the volume of the performers and the orchestra were perfectly balanced, and speaking of the Muny Orchestra, they were awesome. Under musical director Ben Whiteley, the jazz is there, the bounce is there, and the romance is there of Cole Porter's totally classic score. Like, these are songs that have become standards in musical theater and in classical jazz. We have the title track, of course, and Buddy Beware, but we also got You're the Top, I Get a Kick Out of You, Friendship, Easy to Love, It's Still Lovely. Every single song in Anything Goes is memorable. I could just go through the whole list. All of the songs are so full of character and personality. Even though this is a 90-year-old musical, these songs stand up to the modern era, as does the writing in general. Instead of being this, quite frankly, irrelevant museum piece, Anything Goes genuinely feels like you are an audience member of a pre-code old Hollywood movie musical, like watching 42nd Street or The Gold Diggers of 1933 in the theater for the first time. And a lot of the comedy in those movies, and Anything Goes is no exception, mainly consists of social commentary. In Anything Goes, the satire is directed towards the American 1%, who are desperately trying to stay in the lap of luxury during the Depression, which speaks to modern times, as there are billionaires that are still trying to profit off of the misery caused by the pandemic. There's social commentary on American culture's exaltation of criminals, like in the show, the captain of the SS American is apoplectic by the fact that Snake Eyes Johnson missed the departure of the ship because he was the only major celebrity on board. And that too is very relevant considering our collective obsession with true crime media and celebrity trials. And there's even pointed criticism of evangelical Christianity, of how America has turned religious worship, this very communal, very intimate act, into a spectacle, into show business, and evangelists use this level of showmanship to take advantage of their followers, especially when they are vulnerable. And that speaks to our era of trying to fight cultural oppression that is done in the name of religious expression. Despite what its age will lead you to believe, anything goes is really timeless. And that, I think, is why this show is still being performed today. And it really does make me happy that the Muny remembered its roots. The only unique twist with this production, I would say, is the video projections, which is, hey, that's the Muny for you. You gotta fill out the LED scenery walls somehow. But the video design by Kylie Lara is beautiful. The production overall uses an Art Deco aesthetic that makes the visuals feel very cartoonish. Kylie Lara's videos resemble graphic designs from the 1930s. There's title cards that describe the locations that look like advertisements for them. There's very geometric renditions of the New York City skyline and the open sea. There's a cartoon thunderstorm. There's an animation of a bird that flies across the stage during the song Be Like the Bluebird. And even during the overture, there was opening credits introducing the cast in the same style as old Hollywood comedies. Easily some of the best theatrical projections I've ever seen. And it fully supports the set design by Ed Haynes. He created a unit set that totally transforms the entire length of the Muny stage into the SS American's front deck. There's a lifeboat that's strung up port side, railings that roll around the stage to create the illusion of depth, cabins, smokestacks, and all of it is rendered with a very striking color scheme, blue, white, and brown with accents of red and gold. There's a set piece that's just a wall of portholes that feature prominently in the farcical shenanigans between the sailors, Billy and Muny. There's even set pieces that rise up from the downstage lifts. There's the luxury cabins, a bar, and a brig. The painted boom that serves as the show's pre-show curtain is a title card featuring an Art Deco rendering of the SS American. It's sailing on the open sea against a moonlit starry sky, forming constellations of jazz instruments, libations, angels, guns. It was a perfect summation of the show's theming. Ed Haynes created a truly stunning set here, a perfect homage to the aesthetic of Art Deco and Old Hollywood. Muny veteran Rob Denton designed the lights, and of course, as always, they were nice, bright, and colorful, filled with atmosphere. Like the scenes that take place in nighttime or in low light conditions were standouts. I Get a Kick Out of You, It's Still Lovely, and Blow Gabriel Blow. They were fantastic. Tristan Reigns' costumes and Kelly Jordan's hair and makeup were luxurious. The formal attire of the passengers, the crisp white crew uniforms, the garish disguises concocted by the gangsters, and the dresses worn by Reno and her angel backup singers, particularly the fiery red and gold ensembles during Blow Gabriel Blow. And that's not even to mention the acting performances, which were across the board amazing. A few more unsung heroes this season were the casting directors, Michael Baxter, Jimmy Larkin, and Alex Cortinas. All three of these people made casting decisions that were so smart, I legitimately felt pinched a few times. Every show this season was star-studded, with Anything Goes being no exception. The romantic leads, Billy and Hope, were played by J. Armstrong Johnson and Kimberly Emanuel. These two actors fully embodied the type of characters that would normally be played by Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. Suave, demure, upper-class people that are forced to cut loose, but are also torn between their love for each other and their sense of duty, with Billy to his work and Hope to her family. The moments where they have to be romantic ingenues were so sweet. Their dancing was elegant, their singing during the ballads was heartwarming, and their comedy moments were nice and zippy. Under J. Armstrong Johnson's portrayal, Billy's increasingly ludicrous disguises during the moments where he has to outsmart the crew were hilarious. But by far the most iconic character in Anything Goes is the amorous evangelist Reno Sweeney. She's played in this production by a British actress, West End and Broadway darling Gina Duvall, who hardcore musical theater fans would know as originating the role of Princess Diana in Diana the Musical. But her, Reno Sweeney, was a glorious star turn. Her New York accent was spot on, her brassy singing voice is on par with the actress who originated the role, Ethel Merman, Stephen Sondheim's mortal enemy. Duvall's attitude and swagger was delivered with utter confidence, and her evangelist act during Blow Gabriel Blow was at turns over the top and quite sensual, actually. Gina Duvall's Reno Sweeney was so captivating to watch that, to be perfectly honest, she should have been cast as Reno in the recent West End revival of Anything Goes instead of Sutton Foster. Because, hey, come on. She already had her time. Later on in the show, as Reno is helping Billy stand the clear, she ends up falling in love with Hope's fiancé, Lord Evelyn Oakley, who is played here by George Aboud. Evelyn is yet another standout 1930s comedy archetype, this royal who has to learn American customs with hilarious results. But George Aboud doesn't make Evelyn this overly refined stuffed shirt. No, he makes him very silly from the jump. He imbues Evelyn with this very eager, spunky attitude. He really made it easy for the audience to see why Reno would fall head over heels for him. Gina Duvall and George Aboud's chemistry together, slowly discovering their love for each other, was great to watch. They were a fantastic B-plot couple. Now we have another Broadway darling in the cast who is making his Muny debut. Kevin Chamberlain as Moonface Martin. Now, you probably know Kevin Chamberlain as the actor who originated the role of Horton in Seussical on Broadway and also played the role of the butler Bertram in the Disney Channel series Jessie. Kevin Chamberlain is known for playing very amiable characters, so you would think that Muny is a bit of a departure for him until you realize Muny is Public Enemy number 13. One step below the police. Kevin Chamberlain's wisecracking one-liners were delivered with punch, and the way that his physical comedy chops reveal Muny's incompetence was quite impressive. Muny's sidekick, Snake Eyes Johnson's gunmole Irma, was played by fellow Muny debut artist Adriana Hicks, who theater fans would know as originating the roles of Aragon in Six on Broadway, as well as Sugar in Some Like It Hot. So clearly Adriana Hicks has a casting type, and boy oh boy, does she play it well here. Her rendition of Buddy Beware was iconic levels of funny sexy. She was scintillating and exuberant energy that made a great compliment to Muny's mousy demeanor. The core cast is backed up by a fully supportive ensemble. Outside of the excellent dancers in the form of the Sailors and Reno's Angel backup singers, we have Muny favorites Lara Teeter and Anne Harada as Mr. Whitney and Mrs. Harcourt. Their wild exaggerations as one-percenters way out of their depth made for fun bits of social commentary. Eric Jordan Young as the captain and Danny Gardner as the ship's purser were hilarious stiffs. Tight, swift movements and loud, authoritative voices. The purser is responsible for a hilarious running gag where he beats on a gong to keep the ship moving on schedule. Spencer Jones and Joe Capstick were hilarious as Spittin' Dippy. There are two juvenile delinquents who are disguised as Christian missionaries, and they used their positions to enterprise get-rich-quick schemes. Their movements as a duo were perfectly in sync, from them shuffling cards to shuffling away out of a room. That was a pretty great comic touch. Now, Spit and Dippy were a recent addition to the material, when the script was revised by playwrights Timothy Krause and John Weidman. These two characters, as was originally written in the old script, were Chinese men befuddled by the American cruise liner, which is a bit that has not aged well at all, and I'm glad that they were replaced by an archetypal duo that is a lot less problematic and moved the plot forward in ways that are much more useful. But despite that bit of rewriting, this show really does not miss a beat. Like, Anything Goes, as it is now, really is the epitome of old school musical comedy at its absolute best. The attention to detail, the pacing, the timelessness of the comedy, and the Muny's production of it is a genuine comedic marvel. Tight staging, acting performances that are so memorable and so funny, an orchestra delivering great songs and great melodies, undisputed classics, and dancing that is literally tremendous. This production is definitely up there as probably one of my favorites that I've seen this year. Anything Goes was the perfect ending to the Muny's 106th season, and I am so looking forward to when they announce their 107th on October 30th. Did you see the Muny's production of Anything Goes? If so, what did you think about it? And question of the day, what is your favorite Muny moment that you saw this year? Whatever it is, whatever you think, comment below, let me know. And afterwards, you can hop on board to my website, jackreviewsmusicals.com, where you can read my back catalog of reviews dating back to 2022. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any more St. Louis musical theater reviews coming very soon. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, long live the musical, and long live the Muny!